I'm headed down to the store to take my last thing of basil for the season. I've got 5 bunches in there. When I get to the store, I'm going to go ahead and put them in their little display. And then I've got these 3 1-ounce bags. Anyway, headed out. I just went to the store and looked at the basil, and it's already pretty wilty. Just sitting there for a day. I'd been having problems with the bunches of basil getting wilty way more quickly than they should have when I had them at the store. And so I had tried to upgrade my display so that I put them straight into deep vases so that their toes wouldn't pull out of the water. And that had seemed to work, but then I was having this problem again. And so I don't know what it was. It's too hot in the store, maybe a draft in the store or something. So I thought I'd bring them home. I had sold only one at this point, but I didn't want the others to continue to get more and more wilty and people to kind of have to see that and think that that was the quality of stuff I was bringing in. So I pulled them and thought that maybe I would try and see if they would come back to life and maybe I could make some pesto out of them. Okay, well, it's the next day and they seem to be a little fluffier. A little fluffier. A little bit of dragginess going on. Yeah, so the basil seemed to kind of come back to life with its newly clipped and put back into water, and the temperature of the room about 7 degrees Fahrenheit. So I don't know what's going on, the conditions at the store that would be causing this. So I got to kind of get that figured out before next year. But then I had this basil sitting here on the counter, and I kept putting off and putting off making pesto. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and sun is still in the house for just a little bit here, and that is the new door hole protector that Tyler built. And we still got sun at the far end of the garden. Okie dokie, we had a couple of nice days. Tyler and I decided to do our very last trip, camping trip anyway, up the Stickeen River. We may go back there just for a little jaunt at the end of October or something. But I am back in the greenhouse doing my last pick of basil for the restaurant. She'll want 12 ounces. I'll get that to her tomorrow. And it's a good thing that I'm calling it quits because things are starting to look pretty raggedy through here. I don't know what is up with Sunflower. He looks like he's totally dying off, and I don't think his seeds have matured. Are going to mature in time. But anyway, that was kind of for the Sunflower challenge. And he is awfully big. Hey folks, so I've got my 2 6-ounce bags of basil, and I'm about to head down to Michelle's Taste of Asia to get her the last basil of the season. So I'm gonna go ahead and start pulling these potatoes out. Remember the early in the spring when I was like, oh, I'll put these temporarily in cardboard boxes and then I'll make a wood box around them? Well, that never happened, but it seems like they kind of half-ass held up. So I'm not expecting too many potatoes. That's why I brought this little bowl here. These, I did a video about when I planted these, and I said that they were Haida potatoes. These are Magic Mollies, a purple potato. Suppose I should just pull the cardboard off. Well, that wasn't too hard. Pull that cardboard off. You know what? I need some gloves. Well, I'm already seeing one potato sitting here right on top. Gosh, it's just been pouring down rain, and these plants have been dying back, and I was a little bit worried that this stuff, the potatoes might all be rotten. Gee willikers, I hope that wasn't it. Oh my gosh, do you think that was it? Oh wait, I have one really big potato. Oh, but that's the original potato. Oh man, I totally gooed myself with this rotten potato. That must have been the original potato. And dudes, I think that is it. Oh wait, there's a little tiny guy. Yeah, can you see that? That's it. goodness. Is that really all the potatoes I have? That is so crazy. Tiny little guys. That looks like that's it. Dudes, that's my potato haul. That is not very impressive. I'll have to cut one open, show you what they look like. So I've got all the soil from the potato boxes pulled into the rows next to it. And now I'm gonna go and pull all of this basil out of the greenhouse. And you might be thinking, oh my gosh, why would you get rid of all that really nice basil? But dudes, that's what it looks like. And I've got a really bad mildew problem in here because these are so planted so closely, so gotta get them out of here. Okay, yesterday I cleaned out all the basil and I got all the vegetation off of here, except of course my little sunflower buddy. So 6 o'clock in the morning, it's dark. I put out these kale leaves to see if I couldn't get some slug or critter because I was seeing damage in the basil, but I could never find anything because it was just so thick. So I'm gonna go through here and see. Slug. Just one slug? Oh my gosh. That's crazy. Just one slug. I had pulled all of the basil out of the greenhouse and I was left with one dwindling bouquet on the counter. So if this isn't procrastination, I do not know what is. I finally pulled up a recipe from the internet and I wanted to modify a few things. I only had enough left of the basil to make one tightly packed cup, and so I made a half recipe. The recipe directions say to chop up the basil, walnuts, and garlic in a food processor, but because I don't have one, I chop them up by hand. I don't use oil in my food, so instead of using olive oil, I decided to take the walnuts, not chop them up, but throw them into my NutriBullet with a little bit of water, and that's a half cup of walnuts and a quarter cup of water, and then I threw them in together and blended them up to add some creaminess to the recipe. It actually came out a little bit chunky, but it still ended up being fine. I used a half a tablespoon of lime because I didn't have any lemon. I like to use this brand of nutritional yeast because it doesn't have any added vitamins or weird stuff. It's just the yeast. I added a little bit more than the recipe called for and put in 2 full tablespoons. And then I added in a pinch of salt and a pinch of pepper. I thought about it later and I should have probably just put in the yeast, pepper, and salt and then blended it up when I did the walnuts and water earlier. I wasn't using olive oil, so I decided that I would use some olives to give it a little bit of an olivey taste, and plus it would add a little bit more saltiness. That ain't too bad. I then added more olives because I thought it would just be such a nice flavor. And then later I was thinking I really didn't even need to use that pinch of salt. I probably should have just kind of gone crazy with the olives. Wow, that's actually, I think, really good. I put the pesto on top of spaghetti noodles and then topped it off with chopped fresh tomatoes. And I actually used some dried basil that I had from my garden last year. I wanted to cut open the potatoes to show you guys what they look like. So I did that just now. And this first one was really lightweight, and turns out when I cut it open, it was kind of cracked on the inside or whatever. And then I went to cut the second one. That one felt kind of solid and fine. And so then this is what a magic molly looks like on the inside. And then I was thinking I should have baked the potatoes and put the pesto on top of them. And then I would have had a meal from all of the things that I had harvested.